By his late teens, Bobby Fischer was the top chess player in the United States, and he was already using tactics of intimidation.
Chess was not for him a form of play as much as it was a sport. He trained himself to win, physically, psychologically, and in terms of his chess knowledge.
He towers over you, flashing blue eyes, looking around, and if you'd make some threat which to him seemed childish, he would kind of like snicker or scoff at that.
Mark Tylenov said that he was Achilles without an Achilles heel. It was like a wall was advancing on you.
You just felt helpless.
But Bobby's success came at a price. As his chess skills improved, his social skills deteriorated.
He didn't have many friends. His life became chess. Chess became his life.
If you were in conversation with him over dinner, you would glance round to find that he'd taken out his pocket set and was playing.
Chess and me, it's hard to take them apart, Just like my alter ego,
People outside of the world of chess, he would refer to them as weakies or fish. They didn't have anything to offer.
What has chess done to your social life? Do you get a chance to go out?
Not too much, no.
Do you have a girl?
No.
He's a lonely person, and the chess gives him the companionship that he lacks.
Bobby slept during the day and studied chess and listened to the radio at night. He found a captivating voice in Herbert Armstrong, founder of the Worldwide Church of God.
All of the great cities are going to be leveled and destroyed. I'm telling you that a time more terrifying than anything that ever happened is soon going to happen in this world.
Herbert W. Armstrong had the largest radio and TV audience in the nation in the 60s. And his son, Garner Ted Armstrong, both were very charismatic speakers, motivational type people.
It was a fundamentalist sect, and that also had Saturday as the Sabbath, which was sort of unusual for a Christian sect.
After studying many religions, and I mean many, he felt that we were the closest to the truth at that time.
He was hooked into it.
From 1957 to 1967, he won 8 U.S. championships. With each success, Bobby's ego swelled. He began to make demands, exerting control.
Boards had to be so, the pieces had to be so, the audience had to be kept back from the game, the prize money had to be doubled.
Conditions have been like in the dark ages, horrible lighting, chandelier-type lighting, and obviously if you're going to concentrate for 5 hours, you need the most soft, kind of bright-type fluorescent lighting that you can get.
He made life hell for the tournament organisers, and a couple of times this led to showdowns, and he refused to compromise.
In '67, despite leading the World Championship qualifying tournament, Fischer walked out midway after a series of arguments with tournament officials.
Bobby had to forfeit, so Bobby left. He played one of the great tournaments of his life, and then he drops out.
Because he wasn't getting his request. Once he realized he was leaving, he sent a message to the U.S. Embassy saying that he wanted a nice roomy helicopter to take him to the airport.
All the dignitaries are there, everybody's there. It's all set. There's only one person missing, Bobby Fischer.
The World Chess Championship is a 3-year cycle. The world's top players compete in a series of regional tournaments called the interzonals, until the field is narrowed to 8. In the candidates round, the final 8 compete for the right to take on the reigning champ. When the cycle for the 1972 title rolled around, Bobby Fischer was at the top of his game. He easily won the interzonals, finishing with 7 consecutive wins. Then, he made history.
He has to play a series of candidates matches, 3 matches. The first one, he plays Mark Taimanov, wonderful, brilliant Soviet grandmaster. He beats him 6-0. The Soviets can't believe this.
The match was over and Taimanov got up and said, well, I can always play the piano.
Then he plays Bent Larsen, one of the great chess players as well, Danish grandmaster.
He beat him 6-0. You know, that's like knocking out Muhammad Ali with one hand tied behind your back. It can't be done.
Then he plays Tigran Petrosian, smashes him as well. The chess world had never seen a series of games quite like this.
Fischer earned the right to challenge the reigning world champ, 35-year-old Russian Boris Spassky.
Spassky was a product of the Soviet chess machine, the Soviet school. He had training, he had support, he had everything that a chess player dreams of.
The Soviets had dominated the World Chess Championship since World War II. Chess was how they proved their intellectual superiority over capitalism.
The Soviets have always used chess as propaganda. Their idea was communism is the best government social system. It produces the smartest men and women, so naturally, we win the World's Chess Championship.
For years, Bobby had complained that the Soviets had conspired to retain the title.
You sound a little angry when you talk about the Russians in the chess.
That's right, yeah. Well, they've held my title for about 10 years, the way I look at it.
This is Bobby, the lone American hero, riding out to confront the massed ranks of the great, previously all-conquering chess machine.
The Cold War showdown sparked spectacular international interest. Iceland earned the right to host by offering a record purse of $125,000. But Bobby never signed the contract, and at the last moment had second thoughts.
He wanted more money. This was a last-minute demand, and nobody in Iceland was going to meet it.
I thought that Bobby Fischer would like to become the world chess champion. And I couldn't believe that he would walk away from it. This was the highest prize money ever.
Thousands of fans and journalists descended upon Reykjavik, but when the opening ceremonies took place, one man was missing.
There's the world champion himself, Boris Spassky. There's the American ambassador. There's the president of Iceland. There's only one empty chair, and it is, of course, the challenger. Where is the challenger? The challenger's in New York City, renegotiating the agreement.
If Mr. Fischer has a moral to pass on, it is that the important thing in the game is not in winning, but in getting the highest percentage of the gate money. Michael Nicholson, ITN, sitting where Mr. Fischer should have been in Iceland tonight.
How far would Bobby push his demands, and would it cost him his dream? The 1972 World Chess Championship began without the challenger. The championship was in peril. Then a wealthy British chess fan called Bobby out.
He offers to double the prize money there and then, and he issues a challenge. Come on, chicken, if it's about prize money, come out and play.
Bobby was nearly persuaded. A phone call from the U.S. government sealed the deal.
Kissinger said to him something like that, we want you to go to Iceland to win the Russians, the Soviet Union. And they told me that he was like a young warrior going to war.
Bobby finally arrived in Reykjavik, but as usual, the negotiations had only just begun.
Bobby goes down to the hall, and he doesn't like the chessboard, and he thinks the chairs of the audience are too close, and he doesn't like the lighting. There isn't anything that Bobby likes, and he demands that each and every one of those things is changed.
We had to remove several of the first rows, take the audience further back into the hall.
The conditions were met, and on July 11th, 1972, the match began.
Game one's an amazing game. Bobby plays a move that club players know not to play. He takes a pawn with his bishop. A rook pawn allows his bishop to be trapped.
The mistake cost Bobby the first game.
Oh, I think he blundered, you know. I think that's pretty clear, you know. I think he was disturbed by some TV towers, you know, who were hanging over him there, you know.
There was a man by the name of Chester Fox who had the camera rights, and he had to wrap the cameras in burlap. Fischer said he could hear the cameras even. He even said he heard the cameras when they weren't even turned on.
Mr. Fox, yes. If it's not the noise that's bucking Mr. Fischer, what could it then be? I don't think anybody can tell you other than Bobby Fischer, and maybe he can't tell you.
Bobby insisted that the cameras be removed. The Icelanders refused. Game 2 also went to Spassky by forfeit.
He didn't show up for the second game and lost it too.
The championship is a best of 24, with both players earning a half point for a draw. The first to 12.5 points is the victor.
Tremendous disadvantage to be behind 2-0 at the start of a match.
That's 5-0 in the last inning. It's a very, very big hole.
But Bobby was unwavering, and he refused to continue unless the cameras were removed.
Then we decided, away with the cameras. We are not jeopardizing the mats for the cameras.
They end up moving Game 3 into a tiny little room at the back, which is normally used for table tennis. And it was possibly Boris Spassky's big mistake.